Now that we have all of our parts laid out, it's time to build the saw. You always want to read the directions and make sure that you are using the right size bolts and nuts for each section. So I have spread them out accordingly to what they came in the package to make sure that we are using the right ones for the right section. So we completed the first part, and that is to build the front and the back sections of the legs. As you can see, it's wanting the J bolts, and it takes 4 bolts, 4 nuts, and 4 washers for each section. So you're gonna have 2 bars that are gonna go in between the original legs that you had built that will end up making a square when you have it all together. So these are the bottom pieces of the legs, and so you're going to put the feet on the bottoms and you're going to attach them to the legs that we've built already on the side. And these also just take the bolts, the washers, and the nuts. And while you're building your Seyco saw, you want to make sure that when you're building the stand, that everything is just finger tight. You don't want to wrench them down yet, because that's going to be vital when you put the actual head of the saw onto the stand. You want to make sure that everything is just finger tight so it's movable for when we do that process. As you can see, I had some helpers here putting the saw together. They were very curious on what was going on. So I'm just adding the feet onto all the legs on each side. So it ends up being 2 screws for each leg. They're actually adjustable, so you can adjust up and down from the little extra feet that you put on the side right here. There's notches that you can put them in depending on how high or low you want your saw. Now we have put the side bars on to put the front and back of the saw together. Pretty easy, same bolt nut washer process as far as the sides go, and so now we have our base. So next we're going to slide the head of the saw into the stand, and in this U piece there's going to be a bolt that is attached to the bottom right there, and then the 2 brackets on the top that are going to be put in with a bolt up on the top of the stand right here. I'll show you in a second. There you go, right there. And then you just tighten those in, and your saw is in the stand. Next, you're going to put your tabletop on the top and screw it down, and you have your Seyco scroll saw. Now at this point, you're going to want to make sure that you go through and tighten all those bolts. Make sure it's completely sturdy and everything is straight. If you can have 2 people to build the saw, it's helpful, especially when putting the head of the saw into the stand. But here is the St-24 Seyco scroll saw. I am so excited to get on this and start making some sawdust.